starting recording. And we should be ready to get started exactly for 8. How about that? Woohoo! Okay. It's 8 o'clock. Well, 8 p.m. in the UK. Welcome to this lovely webinar with your host, Isabella Russell. That's me. You probably know me as a co-founder of New Media Europe, but also you may be tuning in and know me from Music Radio Creative. So those are two lovely things I do. New Media Europe is a conference for entrepreneurs, podcasters, content creators, people who are interested in being online and doing something great with that. Now, I am joined by incredible guest today, none other than Phil Pallen. Now, Phil is an LA-based branding strategist, and he works with media personalities, professionals, entrepreneurs, and he has clients that are sharks and entrepreneurs on Shark Tank, media personalities on shows like Dancing with the Stars, The X Factor, Project Runway, The Doctors, and many more. Well, welcome, Phil.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be involved with anything that you do. Just call me and I'm here.
Thank you. And you know what? What a great bio, by the way. I mean, how does anyone work with such an amazing bunch of people?
You got to be someone that people want to work with, and you can't take your life too seriously. I will say to clients in the hissiest of fits, I will say, listen, we're not doing rocket science or brain surgery. You may think we have an emergency, but this is not an emergency. There are no branding emergencies. Okay?
Like that. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Well, we have some amazing tactics, hacks that we're going to share with Phil with you. So just to give perhaps everyone a little bit of an overview as to how the webinar is planned to go. I hope things will go with plan. They don't always go, especially that we are live, but we will just take it as it comes. So we are going to do the full presentation and share all of our branding hacks with you. And what I would like you to do is throughout the presentation, please keep posting your questions. And what we will do is have a Q&A straight after. So we will go back to all of the questions. I also have my wonderful Mike Russell, and behind the scenes, and he's our producer. How about that? We have a producer, Phil.
I feel very fancy. And it's Mike Russell. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's it. So the Mike Russell is our producer and behind the scenes. So any questions, concerns, or anything like that, he will be there to obviously help. So we are going to be able to focus on the great content for you. So who is this webinar for? Well, if you have a small or medium-sized business, definitely for you. Entrepreneurs and freelancers, startups, podcasters, bloggers, people who are in the process of establishing themselves perhaps as an authority in any field, and simply people who want to look beautiful online. We all want to have a great presence online, and branding is absolutely key to making that happen. Now, throughout this webinar, and in fact 24 hours ahead of it, we are giving you ability to join us at the New Media Europe conference. New Media Europe is sponsoring this webinar. Phil Pallen is one of our keynote speakers at New Media Europe. And throughout the next 24 hours, you have ability to access the conference at a discounted price of £195 plus VAT. And that does include access to our evening gala dinner party. Now, it's a black tie event with all of the people networking. We are also going to have New Media Europe Awards. Great fun. All you need to do is click the link. Well, it's just underneath my picture on my side. It might be next to me, up above me, or this way or that way. It's there. So you can just click there now. It's newmediaeurope.com/now. So Phil, are we ready to get started?
We're ready to get started, and let me just spend 30 seconds saying what would sound corny coming from you. I probably do 50 conferences a year. New Media Europe last year was the first in Manchester, and I've told you, and I mean it, and anyone who's watching here and knows me knows that I don't BS, never.
Nope.
New Media Europe was one of my absolute favorite conferences last year, and it's the only conference I've ever done where I came away with best friends and powerful partnerships and colleagues that have grown my business. So conferences are great. Some are not as great as others. This one was the best conference for me in 2015, business-wise and contacts partnership-wise. These people that show up are quality, and they are ready to do good work and ready to partner. See what I mean? It would sound corny coming from you because, of course, you can say that because it's a conference, but it's coming from me, and I mean it. So just adding that.
Thank you very much, Phil. It's really, really appreciated. And just encourage you to click on the link, newmediaeurope.com/now. All the details are there. So, Phil, we are going to go through our 10 branding hacks. And what we're going to do is just go through each of them and have a little discussion. As I say, please do ask any questions you may have. All you need to do is type /Q inside the comments box, and it will then pop up as a question, so we can answer it at the end of the webinar. Right. So number 1 is visuals, and adding visuals literally to everything. I mean, when you go through your Facebook feed, Twitter feed, if it doesn't have a picture, it just gets lost in the stream of endless messages. I mean, online world is as busy as it can be. It is going to only get busier, and we need to be creative with how we present and position our brand. So adding visuals is our number 1 branding hack for you. Now, couple of things that you can do. So first of all, you can template them. So if you have some, let's say, corporate font, and I encourage you to have a corporate font if you don't yet, you can make templates using pictures. It's very easy to do that. In fact, the webinar background is one of our templates. We can reuse it for further webinars, and it's a lovely graphic. Now, one thing that I would say, and I'm wondering whether Phil is going to agree with me on that, avoiding cliches. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody saying, "Oh, I'm just launching this product," and there was this rocket on the on the picture, right? I mean, this is probably one of the worst ones. Or I have an idea, and there is this light bulb going above somebody's head, right?
Yeah, those can get a bit, they can get a bit repetitive, and more importantly, they're not memorable. So if you're not every single movement you make on the internet consciously ensuring that whatever it is you're doing is memorable, if it's not memorable, you blend into the giant pool of mediocrity, and there's a lot of mediocrity online. Your mission is to make sure you do something that people remember.
I love that.
Cliches are not memorable.
Nope, they are not. There are some amazing places where you can actually get great quality stock photos for your projects. I mean, some of my favorites, I'm sure that you will have yours, Phil, but one of my number 1 places to go to is Shutterstock. It isn't free, but the quality, in my opinion, is worth paying for. And through multiple projects in New Media Europe and Music Radio Creative, even, we use Shutterstock, and it genuinely always brings up something that is good and memorable. The other one that is nice if you want to go free, although it may be a bit more of a detailed search, is Flickr. You can actually use pictures posted there, but you do need to make sure to obviously attribute content. Any favorites from you, Phil?
Yeah, I like Flickr, and you do the advanced search and define Creative Commons, and then it'll reshuffle the search you've done and show you pictures you're allowed to use. I like Pixabay. Those are free images. I like 2020, the word 20 spelled out and then the number 20,
Yeah.
2020.com is fantastic. There's another resource. Oh my God, I got a whole list for you. There's another resource called Stock Up. If you just Google it, it's on sitebuilderreport.com. That's probably my favorite. And then Unsplash is another one that a lot of people use. It used to be really cool. I used to be so trendy and I was using Unsplash and no one knew about it. Now everyone uses it, so I try to avoid it. I've got a friend, Jay Mantry, who produces amazing royalty-free images for free. And then what I would say about Shutterstock is you need to be we've worked together on branding projects, Isabella and I, and Mike, and you've got to be picky because there's some like pretty cliche images on there. Don't use them. Spend the extra minutes it takes to find an image that really represents your brand. In an ideal world, you would form a great little partnership with a photographer, not someone fancy, but someone young, fresh out of school, up and coming that can take unique visuals for your brand. That makes you more memorable, not always an option.
No, and it can be quite, it could turn out quite expensive. But for stock, I mean, thank you. So many great recommendations. And by the way, you have mentioned we have worked together. And by the way, this is Phil's work. So, it is not quite ready to be revealed in a full glory, shall we say? But there is rebrand coming to one of our companies, Music Radio Creative, and this is all Phil. So he's great.
I love designing mic flags. I did another one for an online, like a celebrity news site, and I was looking up something and there was pictures of One Direction. I promise I wasn't Googling One Direction, but it came up and it was my mic flag. It was Harry Styles holding the mic flag that I designed. So I have a special place in my heart for mic flags.
Nice. I love that. Yep, absolutely. And they're part of branding, right?
They are.
Branding.
Yes.
So we don't have one from New Media Europe, which probably would be more appropriate.
You could just put it on the other side and just flip it around, depending on your...
We haven't thought about that. That's something we definitely need to do. So anyway, tactic number one, make sure to use visuals and don't be afraid to use visuals. Do you know, I would say even when you post Facebook link, you know how sometimes it fetches the information from the website itself and it will come up with the picture that it picked up from the website. I mean, sometimes those pictures are genuinely dreadful. It may not be your content, but content you want to share. You know, you can actually replace that picture with anything you want to input in there. So if it's something that you dislike, just replace it with something that works so that you perhaps create that good user experience for your visitors. I think that's quite cool to do. Now, before we move on to our number 2 tactic, I would like to remind everyone, please post questions. We are going to be answering all of them at the end of the webinar. So any questions, just post them in here. All you need to do is type /Q in the comments box and it will come up as a question. Mike is our producer. He's in the background. He's going to make sure that all of the questions land where they should be. And throughout the webinar, go to newmediaeurope.com/now. You have opportunity to be part of this great event at a really, really good deal. So head over to newmediaeurope.com/now. Now, our tip number 2 is actually probably covering a little bit what we talked about, the photos themselves, but it is about investing in great professional photos of yourself and your team. I know you are very hot on that, Phil, and you even have different photographers in different cities you visit, right?
I got them everywhere because I have clients everywhere. And I always say the most important person in my business besides me and my accountant is my photographers, because they make what I do look great. Photography is the secret sauce for your business, regardless of what your industry is. Don't even begin to tell me, Phil, I'm an accountant. I don't need visuals for my brand. Yeah, you do. Because accountants don't use visuals for the brand. And that's furthermore why you need them.
Yep, absolutely. And the other thing I would add to that is I don't think people quite often realize, although they probably realize, but they don't really take it on board. People buy people. So even if you have the least personality-based product or service, you as a face of the company, or perhaps your team, a really important aspect to the experience of that potential customer. And if they are going to see who you are, they are more likely to buy into what you do. So having really good quality photos on your website of either yourself, if you are the founder, co-founder, or the whole team, are an absolute must. And you know what? I mean, so many websites I have seen where, you know, you have this weird profile pictures, you know, of people, I don't know, standing on their hands, covering their faces. I'm sure you've seen those, Bill.
I've seen them all.
Yeah, but a big no. It is about truly making it a professional photographer. So someone who does it for a day job, not your mom and dad friend who have happen to have good quality camera. Nope. Those have to be really well-made professional photos. I mean,
Yep.
For the best photographers, you know, they will just make you look beautiful regardless, right? You can have 10,000 wrinkles, maybe, you know, complexion, perhaps not the best. Photographers make you look beautiful, and that's what really counts here.
They do. There's a lot of different types of photographers. So if you're ready to rock, if you're listening to this going, oh my God, my photos are awful. I'm using my glamour shot from 1994. I need to update my profile photo. I can give you some advice on finding a photographer. Think about starting on Google and look up wedding photographers. Look up keywords like wedding, editorial, lifestyle. Nice. Those are the 3 keywords I have used consistently to find the very best photographers that I work with within my business. Now, you can also just tweet me, depending on where you are. If you're in New York or LA or London or somewhere central, I've probably got someone that I can recommend in those places. But again, the 3 keywords you want to find the best photographers for personal branding are editorial, lifestyle, and often wedding photographers, particularly for women. That's where we can make you look really beautiful, very visually appealing, beautiful colors, outdoors. It's all dependent on the visual brand that you're building, but those are some immediate tips you can go and get started today.
Now, how often would you recommend to actually refresh your pictures?
Yeah, it depends on how patient you are and how long your attention span is. Mine is notoriously short. So when I finished designing my brand, do you remember the old game? Do you remember the game The Sims, Isabella?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the
computer
absolutely.
Game? I loved it.
Oh my God, I love that game.
I
was highly addicted to that. And I can't even go near because I'd probably play it again and you'd never see me resurface. I used to just build the houses and I never actually played the game, which is a great little window into my world. I build houses for a living on the internet.
Yep.
And so when I finish building my brand, I'm already building a new website. So for me, I need something to look forward to, and I look forward to updating my visuals because not only does it refresh the look and feel of things for me, but that translates to your audience. It gives them, if you've got a great website built on WordPress or Rainmaker or Squarespace, whatever it is, strategically position your website so that you can adjust the visuals, invest a little bit in a photographer, and you will literally swap out your images, update them for 2016. You have a brand new website and you can drive traffic back to there and people are going to feel like they just stepped into somewhere new. Think about your favorite retail store. Do you think that they have new products every season? Hell to the no. They have a few products and they put them in the window, so that's what you think. But they take everything, they move it around, they consolidate, they focus, and that's exactly what you need to be doing. That's how you have to think about your brand.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think another thing to think about here is depending on how often you have customers, let's call them customers or visitors returning to your website. So if you have a product or service that is fairly highly, fairly fast in terms of people coming in, out, in, out, in, out, and they do it quite often, then refreshing it may be something to think about more often than, you know, if it's a product or service they will come in once every year, then probably it's not as important to keep it fresh very, very fast. But yeah, it's worth to think about that and make sure to stay fresh if you have.
That's my rule. My main images I update once a year, and I usually update my colors or you know, I keep my branding the same now. I got it tattooed on. I wrote a blog post about that. It's tattooed on my wrist, so I actually can't change it.
By the way, but from distance, it looks like a Superman logo.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does.
So I now have arrived at a logo that I'm really proud of, and I wrote a blog post about this actually recently on my site. But I update my images once a year. Yeah. I will do blog images. Now I've started actually working with a photographer to do my blog images. So they're not stock photos you'll find anywhere. Nice. And you know what I do? I try to be organized for once, Isabella. I try to impress you with the fact that I have a content calendar for the next 6 months. Podcasts, blogs, tweets, you name it. I organize it so I can go to a photographer and say, in 2 months, I'll be blogging about the tattoo that I got about my brand. So then I get a visual for it. There's no rush. Oh my God, send it to me quick. The blog's going live today. You be organized with everything. And by the way, photographer, it sounds expensive. It does not have to be expensive.
I was going to ask you about your experience with prices, actually. Yeah. So how much would you expect to pay for somebody?
It depends how good they are. I'm hesitant to throw out a number because it's such a range. And it also depends on relationships you have now. You know, listen, take a moment and take inventory of who you know, because a photographer that might charge someone $1,000 might give you a deal because it's a family friend of this person, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what those relationships are. You do. So take a moment after this and meditate on who you know and pursue those relationships, start those conversations, go in with an organized shot list. I need 8 images retouched for this topic, this topic, this topic. Yeah. I guarantee you a photographer will probably charge you less because they can focus on taking pictures instead of organizing your brand.
I love that. That's a brilliant tip. So photography, do not be afraid to do it right, is what I would say. Before we will move on to the next point, Phil, do you have anything else to add on that aspect of things?
No, one thing I just thought was, all of that, plus look up the photographers on Instagram. I found a lot of my best photographers on Instagram. If they have a proven audience, then that's a good sign. And to be able to see all of their work in a mosaic like that is helpful. Have a look at their feeds, look at the colors they use. When you hire a photographer, it's based on one thing. You're hiring a photographer based on the confidence and trust that you feel based on their portfolio that they'll deliver to you what they've done previously. That's what you base your decision on. And price, of course, but that's my advice.
I love that. And one final thought from me on the aspect of actual pictures. I think that it's one of the best investments you can make in your brand. It genuinely is. And it's the one investment that will pay back again and again and again. It really is worth to do it.
It's hard to justify the individual transaction. Oh, I spent this much on this photo. Will it convert or will it return? No, don't even bother your brain with that kind of logic. The fact is, all of these elements work together. They're each pieces of the puzzle, pieces of the pie. When all of it comes together and everything feels and looks related, you can charge more for your product. You can charge more for your service because what you're conveying is luxury and value. And that's where all of this starts to pay off for you.
Brilliant. Love it. Well, thank you for that. Now we're going to move to number 3. Before we will share that, just a quick reminder, please keep posting the questions. We are going to get to answer them at the very end.
They're really good questions, by the way.
Yeah, they really are. So I can't wait to get into them. And also, we have a special for you through the next 24 hours. All you need to do is click the link either below or next to me, wherever it appears. It's newmediaeurope.com/now. Now, number 3, I think, Phil, you're going to like that. It's starting a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, podcasts are growing in popularity hugely. I mean, in the US, this is data from 2013. So by now, I assume it's going to be much, much higher, but data isn't available. 18% of the US population listens to podcasts. That's huge. And why is that relevant to your brand? So effectively, when someone has a podcast, that person is immediately seen as an effective communicator, respected authority, and active participant or thought leader within the niche. What are your thoughts on that, Phil?
I could talk about this for 14 hours straight, but let me give you the short version. Yes, for business, it's fantastic, but more importantly, podcasting is an excuse. It is an exercise to develop your thought leadership, a term that I absolutely hate, by the way, but I don't know a better term for it right now. It's a beautiful exercise for you to develop your thought leadership, your curriculum, whatever it is that makes you fantastic. It gives you an excuse to sit here with a fancy microphone and figure out what the value is that you have to share with others.
Yeah.
And now a lot of these conversations, a lot of these, you may not even realize it, but when someone calls you for advice or you're sitting down at a bar having a conversation with someone, giving someone tips or whatever, that you need to take inventory of that somehow. Having a podcast for me is an immediate trigger now. When I have a conversation with someone, I go, ooh, that would be a great subject for a podcast. And guess what? It's not a TV show. I'm not having to submit it to a network or a producer to get approved. I'm the boss around here, and I decide what my podcast is about. And guess what? I've been figuring it out as I go. My podcast, by the way, is No Filter, shameless plug. I started it because I spoke at New Media Europe in September, and I was like, I cannot go speak to a room full of amazing new media experts, podcasters, and not have a podcast.
No.
So it is my outlet. Yes, it's great for business, but it's more important for me because I'm developing powerful messages and thoughts that I can share in speaking engagements and blog posts and tweets. And I highly recommend it because it's like therapy. It's so fun. It's so fun. I love it.
It is great. And actually, it just goes back to the point I've mentioned earlier. People buy people. And brand is not only about visuals. It's also about what we can listen to, what we can hear, the messages that come through. And your own voice is the one that's the most valid one. I wouldn't recommend just starting a podcast just for sake of having one within your business and just ditching that responsibility to an admin girl who has a quiet room somewhere. That is
you never sustain it. Even if you started thinking you'd experiment, you'll get 3 episodes in and you're done.
That's it. So that's not what we are trying to say. What we are trying to say, if you are perhaps a face of your company, of your brand, podcast can offer you access to people, to that kind of unspoken, this is funny, but it is an unspoken authority in a niche that you are in. But most importantly, it's going to show people that there is a real person there, and actually he or she sounds just like a normal person. And it quite often opens the doors you wouldn't otherwise have opened.
Let me say one more thing, too, that I've learned when it comes to booking guests and initiating these conversations. I get a lot of emails. I'm pretty active on social media. I get a lot of emails. I am out there. When someone emails me and says, Phil, I want to have a conversation with you about my business and about my brand. Can I take you out for coffee? Can I buy you lunch? The answer is no. I can buy my own coffee and my own lunch. And I work for a living. So when I give advice, I charge for it. When someone emails me and it's me, it goes into trash folder because I don't have time. Wish I had time for everyone. Don't have time for everyone. When someone emails me instead and says, I start with a compliment. Phil, I love your perspective on working remotely, something I'm really passionate about. I listened to your podcast. I read your blog. I'd love to feature you. No mention of me. I'd love to feature you on my blog, or I'd love to interview you for my podcast. I'm telling you, it's the same request.
Yeah.
But you're making it about the other person. You go from priority 0 to priority number 1. You go into my 1 folder, which means I will answer you within 24 hours. I try. Isabella will call me out that it is rare that 24 hours. But you know what? I will give you my time. And I will, because you're making it about me. I don't care if your blog has 3 followers. I don't care if you started it yesterday. I'm not going to look. And you know what? If someone's not going to give you time, someone's not going to give you their time for something like that, you don't want to have a relationship with them anyways. But we're changing our thought, not making it about me, making it about you. Feature that person, and podcasting is the perfect outlet to have conversations with very interesting, influential people. It's an excuse to have a conversation because we do a podcast interview just like this, and then we talk for 5 to 15 minutes afterwards. And I say, Isabella, I have loved meeting you. I've got someone I want to introduce you to. You know what I mean? That's the value of having an outlet to share content.
Absolutely. And it's also about the connections. And, for any brand to grow, you need to have connections. And podcasting, just as Phil mentioned, opens up possibility to connect with people who perhaps otherwise would brush you off, right? Because as you say, you have ability to make it all about them and how great they are, what they do. It's brilliant ego booster for those people. And for you, ability to connect with those guys. Amazing.
It is amazing. I'm looking at the list of people. We have 87 live viewers. By the way, that's pretty awesome, Isabella.
Hey.
And I can look at this list and tell you, well, Isabella, Mike, David Bain, there are viewers here that are watching that podcasting introduced me to these people. I'm looking here at this list. There's tons of these people, and I know these people, and I have Mark Asquith, like all of these people I just saw in London. Like, these are people that I know because of podcasting. It's amazing.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I'm very jealous of the fact that you get more claps than I do. What's going on with
It's a little competition.
It is a little competition here.
Yeah. Look, everyone's clapping.
Thank you.
Oh, no, she's going to beat me. Stop it.
Look at this.
Come over to me.
Yes.
Oh, my God. What a beautiful distraction. See what just happened? You just asked for props or claps, whatever this is called. And now you just beat me I'm in the dust.
You are in the dark ages now. But anyway, let's move on to number 4. And though this one may seem a little bit old-fashioned or maybe even paranoid, but it is about setting up alerts for your personal or business name on Google. I mean, this is huge. And, it's so important to know what other people talk about when it comes to you or your brand. It actually can reveal a lot of things you maybe weren't aware of, or it can show up a trend or some sort of way things are heading to, but it can be really, really huge. And just being able to, what's really powerful is being able to react to any negativity the moment it comes up. That's huge for the visibility of your brand.
I have booked a speaking engagement because it came up as a Google alert for social media speaker.
There you go.
And
perfect.
There are 3 to add to that. There are 3 groups of people that I talk about in my book, which is about Twitter, but it's also just about marketing online. There are 3 distinct groups of people that you should be creating Google alerts for and creating Twitter lists. Your direct competitors and your indirect competitors. So we'll summarize that group by saying competitors. Direct competitors are people who do what you do and satisfy the same need. An indirect competitor is someone who does something a little bit different that still satisfies the same need. So if you're a chef, an indirect competitor might be a food truck. Different service, but still satisfies our hunger. So you've got competitors to set up Google alerts for. You've got like brands, people that are like you, but maybe halfway across the world and are not competition to your business. Competitors, like brands, and brand heroes, people that are a few steps above you. If you're in the jewelry business, Tiffany's, it's probably a brand hero. Think about in your industry, you know who those people are that you keep an eye on. They spend lots of money on their marketing. We can learn from what's good and what's not good and not spend the money. Those are the 3 groups of people that you should create Google alerts for and let Google do the work for you. They basically push these notifications to you once a day or however you define it. And it's in your inbox for you. Love Google Alerts.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's one of those little things you can set up and almost forget about it. And just every time something pops up, it just comes to your inbox. And as Phil said, it can have really, really quite huge effect on what you do. It can save you a lot of money, save you a lot of hassle. So definitely worth doing. Let's move on to number 5. But before we do, just a reminder, please keep posting questions. We are going to get to them at the end of the webinar. So all of the questions, well, I'm hoping that all of the questions we will be able to answer. There seems to be quite a few by now, but we will do our very best to do that. Also, just a quick reminder to say that there is a special for you at newmediaeurope.com/now. If the kind of stuff we are talking about here is something that you would like to know more of, you definitely have to head over to newmediaeurope.com/now. Now, number 5, social proof. Now, this is huge. And I don't think people actually realize how important it is until you actually go and look for a service or a product and look at it yourself. It's just recommendations from clients, from individuals who perhaps can endorse you, can say that, yes, you've done a great job, or your product is amazing. Or, if you are working with some big brands, well recognized, just looking at the logo, this is huge. You have to be posting it on your website, like everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. When we go to your site, we're immediately looking for a reason not to work with you, because we'll find someone. We're looking. It's like you submit your resume to a job with 100 other people. I am looking desperately for an excuse to throw your resume in the garbage, because it makes the decision-making process easier. Don't give them that reason. Instead, go the opposite way. Give them something. Testimonials, recommendations on LinkedIn. Here's one of my faves. And actually, I have this on my website. If you go to philpallen.co/book, you'll see embedding tweets. Nice. Get your customers and your clients and your friends to tweet out positive things about you, rather than taking someone's testimonial and jazzing it up and doing whatever you would do to put on your website. This way, it comes straight from the source. And anytime someone tweets something nice about my book, I embed the actual tweet, so know that I haven't taken those testimonials and modified them. They are straight from the source, and it looks really cool. And you can do it with Twitter, Instagram, any of the social networks that allows you to embed the feeds or the posts. It's really cool. It's just different. A lot of people are doing it, and that's why I'm telling you to do it.
Yeah, it is huge. And actually, as you say, just having actually real person, or link to their Twitter account or Facebook, if it's a Facebook review, to their Facebook page or Facebook Facebook page, it's actually huge, because it shows it's a real person, and there is something quite significant behind that. I guess it's just how we process things. It's just straight away we see, oh, it's not the first time that your service has been delivered, done, the product has been made or used. You've done something and it resulted in many happy customers. I mean, that's usually actually a great example of utilizing social proof to push the product is a mattress called Eve here in the UK, Europe. I think in the US it's under Casper mattresses. But essentially, if you look at all of the ads, all they are, it's just a stream of recommendations. People, 5-star ratings, saying, amazing, I had this great night's sleep, this, that. It literally, all it is, they advertising is just recommendations that they got from customers. It's very powerful.
Very powerful.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. So definitely don't be afraid to post those, but also don't be afraid to boast about yourself, your successes. We are, I don't know, something like, the first product of this kind in Europe, or, whatever it is. Just talk about this. People will not have time to research it deep into different sub pages. You have to make sure it's right at the front. If you have won the award that is significant, post it right there. If somebody recognized you for what you do, post it right there. It's the same when you go into sort of pages where they pages of speakers are quite a good example. Some good pages of speakers, shall we say.
There are some bad ones.
There are some bad ones. Yeah, there are some bad ones, but they usually, if they have been mentioned in one of the big publishers, the Times, Huffington Post, and all of the other publishers, they will just put the links to that. And it doesn't matter that they have been mentioned there. The fact that they put the logo in there, it just immediately says, oh, maybe they have been talked about in the, people make up their own stories just by looking at logos, which is crazy. But just don't be afraid to show it. That's effectively the point here.
Storytelling is key rather than bragging. Tell a story that we can relate to. People pay attention right away. When think about it, you're sitting at a dinner table and your uncle is just bragging about everything he's accomplished. Then you have someone else that stops and tells a story. All of a sudden, everyone goes hush and they pay attention. It always happens. People listen to stories. And the question, very simply, the question that you're answering with every marketing effort you make is, who are you and why should I care?
Exactly.
That's it.
Love it.
That's it. We're done. Simple. That's it, Isabel. No.
That's it.
Everyone go home. No,
don't go yet.
Don't go home.
No, don't go yet. We're just.
By the way, have you seen how close we are in claps or likes or whatever this is right here?
Yes.
We are neck and neck. This race is tight, baby.
It's very tight. There you go. We'll see what comes out at the end. So we have covered 5 hacks already. Let me very quickly recap through them. So number 1, add visuals to absolutely everything. It's a busy online world and you do need to stand out from endless stream of tweets, Facebook posts, messages in general. Visuals, but good visuals, can really, really help with that. Number 2, invest in great professional photos of yourself, of your team. Now, by far, this is one of the most valuable expenses you are going to have. I know this sounds very contradictory, but this is genuinely the most valuable thing you can do for your brand. Number 3, start podcast. Podcasting is a great way to be heard, to show that you are an authority, that you are an effective communicator, and for people to be able to relate to the fact that you are just another normal person, and just to connect with you on an entirely different level they would otherwise just not be able to reach to. Number 4, set alerts for your personal or business name on Google. Again, this is huge. We've also covered setting alerts for your competitors, just sort of spying up on everything they do can be very good. Number 5, social proof matters. Make sure that you utilize all the recommendations, endorsements you can gather, and make sure to put them right in front of any potential visitor to your website, brand, anything you do online. So we are just about to head over to number 6. Before we do, just a quick reminder, head over to newmediaeurope.com/now. There is a special waiting for you over there. We are going to be answering all of the questions that are accumulating in the questions box at the very end of the webinar. So please do keep posting any questions you have along the way. Number 6, this is my favorite, by the way. I'm a huge fan of those because of the audio branding I do. It's call to action. And this is so important. Now, what I wrote down on my prep, it's one to rule them all. And this is genuinely the case. Look at Apple. If you go to apple.com, there is no doubt in your head they want you to buy their latest iPhone. They have a ton of other products out there, but that's the one thing they want you to do. I mean, Google is my favorite example of one call to action. I mean, hello, you can't do anything, right? You have to search. This is what Google is designed for. And it is the same with your brand. Perhaps before I will dive in with my spill, I'm going to ask you, Phil, to perhaps get started on that aspect of things.
Sure. Asking people to do things is really powerful. Shall we test it out? We are neck and neck, by the way, with claps. So let's test out the power of call to action. If you're watching and enjoying this blab, then like us.
Yep.
Or what do we call it? Clap.
It's clap or, like high five or whatever.
How do you do it? You double click on the box or?
Yeah, you just have to tap on the box. There you go. You know how to do it, guys.
So that was a sample call to action, and we just went up by about 500, thingies, claps.
Yeah.
So that's the power of asking people to do something. Don't just assume that they're going to do it because they like you. Assume that they have the attention span of a fly and they need a little bit of a reminder, because that's how the internet works. Remind us what you want from us, and there's a good chance we'll do it.
That's it. And my favorite analogy to call to action is actually a shopping list, right? If I said to you, Phil, I really need carrots. Can you please go and get me carrots right now? You know what you need to go and get. But if I said to you, do you know what? I need carrots, apples, bananas, oranges, potatoes. You're going to be like, oh, hang on a moment. What do you want me to do? And this is exactly the same. I mean, my favorite example is actually in audio branding. When you put, in your intro or outro, you put the call to action as, and so many times I've heard this. Okay, so review me on Facebook, leave me review on iTunes. I would also like you to sign up to my mailing list. And the list goes on and on and on and on. It is not effective. It really isn't. So important to focus on one thing and one thing only, and be consistent. Consistency is a key. So it's not only about the fact that you pick one at a time, but actually being consistent throughout all of your channels with that. I think that's quite powerful. Also a little branding hack, I guess, within the hack is about colors. I remember this is something that we've done very consciously with Music Radio Creative when we were developing our branding board. One thing that I was very certain of, we needed to have a call to action color. And this is just the one color that we use when we want our user to make action. You will not find it somewhere else where it's, kind of not important or, okay, I could look there. But it's always one, and it always draws your attention. So the color that stands out from the rest of the branding palette. And yeah, it's about consistency. So definitely colors and just one call to action. Yep. Good. Okay.
You're good. I love it all.
Good.
I'm trying to talk less so you can get through the remaining ones, and then we have all these questions.
Yeah.
What a good problem to have on a webinar. Too many questions.
There you go. That's a great problem. All right, number 7. Social media. And I know you're a big fan of that, Phil, of not actually being everywhere just for sake of it. I mean, this is awful. Internet is getting really busy. There are so many social media platforms nowadays, and it's very hard to decide, what do I focus on? And actually trying to do a great job at every single platform out there, it's a near impossible task in its own. So actually trying to focus on perhaps 2. Do you always say 2, Phil? I think you say
I usually
2.
say 3.
Oh, 3.
Yeah, I usually say, rather than being mediocre on 10, and now there's more than 10, be a rock star on 3, because I'm curious to know, and maybe give us some claps by a show of yes. How many of you are companies, and versus, give us some claps if you're individuals with a brand. Guess what? If you're an individual, you don't have a social media team running everything for you. So you can't, like a company would be active on every platform, or almost on every platform that matters to their brand. You have only so many hours in the day. So rather than being mediocre on 10, let's be really good on 2 or 3, and give each platform purpose. Don't just update Instagram because everyone else is doing it. What need do you satisfy on Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook? Give each platform purpose, which provides you the structure you need to update it. More importantly, it gives your audience structure on what to expect.
I love that. That's exactly that. And one tip on how to choose the best platform is have a think as to where your audience is likely to be. So this could be very personal to the product or service you provide. So just look as to where your customers are likely to be, what they are likely to be engaging in, and focus on that. But also insert in that your own personal likes or dislikes. I mean, for example, personally, I mean, this is awful, but I really don't like Google Plus, right? I really don't like this. But on the other hand, I love Instagram. And in all honesty, even if 90% of my audience was on Google Plus, simply because I dislike the platform, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to focus on Instagram instead. And yeah, just don't be afraid to just be you. I would say on that too.
Social media should never feel like taking out the garbage. If
Yeah.
it's not something you're enjoying, then it's going to show. But it should be something that you look forward to. It should be something you've built into your daily schedule, your daily routine, so that it gets done and that it's not a waste of time. It's actually something constructive that you're using as a tool to build your brand.
Love that. Number 8, find the pain point and stick a nail in it. Literally. If your product or service addresses a clear pain point for people, make sure to play on the emotions it generates. Show examples of frustration followed by joy, and you have to establish yourself as an authority in pain solving. This is genuinely what it is. Just don't be afraid to do that. I think quite a lot of people are very conscious of doing it, but seriously, if there is a problem you are solving, make it super clear that you do, because it's going to make your brand automatically seen and thought about when it comes to that pain point, and that's a good thing.
You know what soundbite's coming next, Isabella? Something you do for yourself is a hobby. Something you do for others is a business or a brand. And I will use those two terms interchangeably if they're positioned properly. Something you love to do that you get happiness out of, satisfaction, great. It's a hobby. Keep it in your basement. If it's something you're doing to satisfy a need like every good business does, that is a brand. And that's what you need to think about. What need do you satisfy? Because every good business out there has one common trait. They all satisfy a need, even the weirdest of needs.
Yep, that's it. So there it is. Number 9, be consistent. And this is actually very important. It is very easy, especially if it's just you, as Phil tested before. So if it is just you, please give me props. They are called, by the way, props. Thank you. Somebody posted it in the comments. Sorry, I didn't catch the name, but it is props. So if it is you, if it's just you in your business, you are branding yourself, your personal brand, service, or product. It's very often easy to lose consistency when it comes to the branding messages or the message of why you do what you do. And it is easy to do that because you think, if I just twist the words a little bit and say it like that to this audience, I may convert more people. But that never works. In the long run, it never works. If there is one clear reason why you do it, do not try to satisfy everyone, because you will never do. You can't be everything to everyone. Try to be everything to the people you truly want to target. It is important, and you will never grab the 100% market share, and there will always be competitors who do things differently or perhaps phrase things differently, but people will buy you and your brand for what you stand for, and just staying consistent, super important.
I love when people say, I'm so worried about, with my brand, I'm worried about being pigeonholed. I'm worried about, being too limited. And then I say, really, pigeonholed? You're worried about being so good at something that people are going to call you because you've built your brand that way and you're the person to call. I'll tell you, I work with people all over the world, clients all over the world, thanks to the fact that I do conferences internationally. Hello, New Media Europe. Hello, people watching, by the way. Give me some props if you're not located in Europe, but instead you should use New Media Europe as an excuse to go on an amazing little trip and travel to Europe, and
Hang on, I
write
have
it
a
off.
better idea. Give
Yeah.
me props if you are in Europe. Give Phil props if you're outside of Europe.
I love it. Well, I mean, I take the trip. I mean, I use New Media Europe as an excuse to write off. Hopefully, the IRS isn't watching. No, I write off my trip and I go and I, and I work and then I, working, speaking for an hour, working, and then I get to see everyone, all my new friends from New Media Europe. So, okay, stop interrupting because we'll still get to the question.
Okay. So we are finally getting to number 10. Think big and have vision and don't be afraid to show it. And this is very easy to get into the mentality of thinking that, oh, it's just me, therefore I'm very small, nothing will ever, nothing ever big will come out of it, there are bigger fish in the pond and all of that. But actually that is wrong. Having a grand vision is huge because it suddenly gives you and your brand a purpose, and it actually allows people to participate in your success. So having that grand vision will also help you to stay on track with the messages to your audience. So every time you do some promotional spur of some sort, you remind yourself, okay, so this is where I want to head to. Is that going to help me with my vision or not? Is that going to help or hinder? And you can very easily try and be on track with that. Bottom line, do not ever be afraid to think big. Cool. So I will recap the last 5 just before we will head over to the questions. So number 6 was call to action, one to rule them all. Number 7, social media, don't be everywhere just for the sake of it. And number 8, find the pain point and genuinely stick a nail in it. Be consistent, number 9. And number 10, think big, have a vision and show it. So that really wraps up our top 10 hacks. Look at that, we've got 4 minutes to spare. Which
good
is
timing.
Good timing indeed. Once again, we have a special running for 24 hours after the webinar. Head over to newmediaeurope.com/now. Now let's have a look at some questions. Phil, do you want to pick one first?
Sure. And quick shout out to Kieran. Yes, Canada does count. By the way, I am from Canada, born and raised, now live in LA, but I am Canadian. I like to clarify with the world. My English friends like me a little bit more.
And by the way, it helped that you look like Michael Bublé, right?
Right. People have said that. I don't see the resemblance, but some people have said that.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Let's start really quickly because it's a quick one with Mike's question. How do you brand yourself properly on Snapchat? A lot of people are talking about Snapchat. It's really, really cool. Go follow Mike Russell. They didn't tell me or pay me to do this, to plug this, but Mike has been experimenting with using Snapchat for branding, and it's going really well. I'm getting huge value. I write up a little notebook with all my little things I learned from Mike on Snapchat. He's creating stories. It's experiment with his platform. And to answer Mike's question, I love when people customize their profile photos with their Snapchat badge. Everything you do, every inch of visuals and text as part of your social media profiles is valuable social media real estate. You are taking a profile photo and you are giving it purpose. Your profile photo, especially if you have a following on other social media platforms, can be a call to action, Isabella's favorite word, as a reminder that you're on Snapchat. So go ahead and take your Snap code, it's called, your badge, and update your profile photos. If you have a little bit of skill in Photoshop or know someone that can help you, take the ghost out of the Snap code, add your profile photo in the middle. You can even color the Snap code, and I've done research on this, and I'm about to write a blog post on it. Stand by. You can change the color of the Snap code from the ugly bright yellow that's not on brand for me. It might be on brand for some people. I've changed mine to pink, which is more on brand for me. As long as there's contrast, there has to be contrast, and change the color, then test it out. Take a picture of the display picture, try uploading the picture to adding friends on Snapchat to test that the code actually works. That's the quick and dirty how to customize your profile photo.
I love that. Thank you very much. Now I have the next question from Neil Brown. Now he says, as a copywriter, I'm always thinking about writing. What are the key things to think about when developing a personal type of voice, tone of voice, sorry. Any initial questions, any initial answer to that question, Phil?
If you'd say it in conversation, say it online. I hate writing, so Neil already has one on me. I hate writing with a bloody burning passion, including emails, just as Isabella. I hate emails. I hate anything that involves writing. I love talking. I love doing things like this. I could do this all day, every day. So for me, I am in tune with how I speak in real life and in conversation, and I make sure I deliver that in written form. It further establishes the consistency in person and online. So if you'd say it in conversation, there's a good chance in written form it will work well for you on your websites and in your content creation.
Love that. I will also add that not being afraid to have your own style is very, very important. I met a lot of people who think that, oh, maybe I'm a little bit too informal or too formal. Just be you. You have to be you. There will be people who will love what you do. There will be people who won't like it, and that's okay. It's genuinely okay. So, would you like to pick the next question, Phil?
Sure. I'm laughing at David Vaughn, who says I talk in tweets, and then he says I also speak horse. That's what I'm laughing about. Okay. You pick one. I'm overwhelmed with how many there are. These are so good.
All right. So there is one question. Pascal. Oh, where did it disappear? Hang on a minute. Oh, there it is. Pascal asks, what is the best way to change the website without losing your corporate design?
Visuals. I think we answered that. I think visuals are the easiest way. Put a lot of time and effort into crafting whatever that visual brand is. If you have like a brand guideline or some kind of style guide you're following, that's even better. Any kind of proof or guidance you can provide those creatives you're working with to deliver is appreciated by them. And it also establishes more consistency.
Love that. I'm looking at other questions. I know
there's one here. Phil, what was the number one action you started that boosted your own personal brand the most? I was not afraid to satisfy a very specific audience. When I moved to LA, I built my reputation on helping TV hosts build and promote their brands. I satisfied an immediate need that not many people were doing back in the day. Personal branding was still new. There was no one helping TV hosts, which was a population, a group of people that really interested me. I quickly, by satisfying a very specific need in market, I built a reputation as the guy to call, or one of the guys to call, to help you if you need a website and you're a host. And by satisfying that need and building that reputation quicker because it was a specific audience, a lot of secondary and tertiary markets came, and now I help companies and I help individuals focus on personal branding. But that's how my business launched, by satisfying a very specific need. Much like Isabella said earlier, when you try to appeal to everyone and everything, you effectively appeal to no one.
That's it. Yep, I love that. Are we okay to answer 3 more questions? I am aware of the fact that we are running 2 minutes over our set 1 hour, but I'm sure, Phil, we will be fine with that.
We're the bosses around here. Okay.
We are. Yeah, that's fine. There is a great question here. Should I include fake testimonials if I'm just getting started, or is that a bit dodgy?
No, I would wait to have real ones, because what people are going to say to you in testimonial form, you can't anticipate. If you try to write them yourself, forget about it. Find other ways that you can position your brand in an interesting way. For example, instead of fake testimonials that are going to sound fake, instead, I just don't like anything fake. Let's not even go there. We don't need to go there, so let's not do it. Instead, focus on your about page and your homepage copy. And instead of listing off your credentials and your life story, the longer your bio, the more obsessed you look with yourself. Keep your bio. Isabella complimented me on my bio because it's 3 sentences long. There's nothing else you need to know about me when you first meet me. If you want to dive into more detail, go to my website. But keep it short. Instead of having your bio a list of credentials and your life story, tell us your perspective, your opinion on things, because your perspective is your personality online. Write it in first person 9 times out of 10, and be direct and be authentic. Writing fake testimonials, not authentic. Don't encourage it.
Love that. Now, there is a question from Anna Marie Jones. What's the lowest cost, biggest bang for the buck thing you can recommend? That's a good question.
Ha! Well, let me just roll right on over here. Stand by. The most important social media platform for your brand is Twitter. Why? Because it's the only social media platform still where you can access a very targeted audience without spending money. I'm so jazzed about this. I worked as a teacher in LA working with hosts for a few years. I went back to them and said, what's the most important thing you've ever learned from me? They said Twitter. So that's why I wrote a book about it, because I believe that Twitter is still the only platform where you don't have to spend money to access a targeted audience. So the answer is Twitter still.
Love that. Very last question from Radio Skills, Kevin Field. Authenticity is important for podcast. Be real, be you. How does this transfer to brand?
What do you think? I have lots of opinions on this.
I think that okay, when it comes to the brand, I think you have to be consistent. Consistency is almost it is authentic. I can't say this properly, can I? Authenticity. And I think that it genuinely is a key. So having that one message, having that maybe one vision, and being consistent with putting it across will make you look authentic.
Have a way to audit you in real life. If it's for example, a call with a client, ask them politely if you can record it, because there are so many sound bites and pieces of information through conversation that are so second nature to you that are valuable to others. You need to find a way to audit you in real life and somehow absorb that material and do something with it. I'm sitting here doing a blab with Isabella going, God damn, why don't I do these once a week? Look at this incredible community. We have 80 people watching. We've had over 650 people join through the hour.
It's amazing.
But Isabella, to give you and Mike props, you guys are very good at taking ideas and doing something with it. And that's what we've done today. And that's what everyone who's watching should do. Take action. Figure out, record your calls with clients. Record I have draft emails, 30 draft emails after I go running for an hour, because I get ideas that pop in my head and I have to record them somewhere. For me, email works the best. So figure out how to do it, gather your thoughts, and do something with them. An idea is great, but an idea with research and action is so much better.
I love that. And by the way, I love the fact that we get props. And I think that there are people who try to even it out. It's just at the moment, it was exactly the same numbers. I think that people are trying to be really diplomatic about things.
They are.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us here, Phil, and for sharing all of your wonderful knowledge. Thank you to everyone watching. As you've mentioned, 665 people tuned in. We have 72 people watching live right now. Thank you so much to all of you who stayed till the end. And we are going to make notes with all of the recommendations, all of the 10 hacks.
Taking action.
Yep. We're going to make them available also in a written form. You will have access to a replay video of this webinar if you wanted to listen back again. And just one final reminder, over the next 24 hours, you have ability to be part of New Media Europe at a special price. All you need to do is head over to newmediaeurope.com/now. New Media Europe is the conference where we talk about things like this, branding, and Phil is one of our keynote speakers. Branding, genuinely, in my opinion, is everything. Do not ignore it. I'm sure, Phil, perhaps I will pass the microphone over to you virtually for the final closing words before we will wave goodbye.
Yeah. And I said this earlier, and I'll say it again, that no one pays me to say this. I say it because I want to say it, because Phil does whatever he wants.
Thank you.
And the props here, the engagement on the live chat and the questions should be some indication to you of the level of quality of people that this conference gathers. I speak at a lot of conferences because I enjoy it. And there's a lot of conferences that suck. And I still speak at them. But it's disappointing after I have done a conference like New Media Europe that is a fantastic few days. And then the magic happens following that, which is lifelong friendships and powerful partnerships. I was just in England. I just did a collaboration with someone I met at New Media Europe, a workshop. This is, I think, of all the conferences I've ever spoken at, this brings together the highest quality of people. And this blab is evidence of that.
I love that. And actually, somebody has just asked very kindly, could you answer some of the remaining questions in your written summary as a bonus? How about we do that, Phil?
I would love to. I'm going to figure out a way to somehow get all these questions, and I would love to turn them into blog posts, podcast episodes, something.
Just before I will close the blab itself, I will ask our lovely producer Mike in the background, can you please take screenshots or copy the questions so we don't lose them anywhere?
Good idea.
And yes, we will do that. We will answer the remaining questions as in a written form in a follow-up blog post. So that would be good. Well, thank you, everyone. Mike, I would love to get a little prop or something from you to say, yep, I've got all the questions. And
I'm doing it too. You can hear me screenshotting in the background. I'm like, these are gold.
Yeah, they're great questions. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, Mike has given his prop, so I think we are all good. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, day, whatever the time is you are watching at the moment. Have a lovely time, and thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah, thanks.